Hello, everyone. Steve here, back again with another tabletop baseball video leading up to the 4th of July. I thought I'd get this posted and we're ready to go. So today's topic is what I've called Batter Up Reimagined. And Batter Up is a game from the mid 70s, and I've spent a lot of time with this game. I like the game. And I've done a video about how I reverse engineered the game. This game is featured on a Facebook page that we put together dedicated to not only this game, but also some other vintage games that were lost to time. So without further ado, I'm going to proceed. Just a little bit of history about Batter Up. I won't read everything, but it was published for 4 years in the mid to late 70s. And we searched far and wide for information about the creators without much success. It's possible that they have passed away. And it is difficult to find copies of the original game. I have a couple of seasons myself, but they were not acquired cheaply, I'll put it that way. So as with most of my videos, I provide some links to outside resources. These will be in the description. The PowerPoint presentation that you see here will also be available on my Google Drive. You just have to ask me. This should be a short video, but feel free to increase the playback speed if you're short on time. So in terms of these external links, the first three are, I'm sorry, the first one is the Facebook page. The second and third are videos on YouTube that explain what the game's all about. And then the fourth link is my reverse engineering video. So, Batter Up. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time describing the game, but I'll spend a few minutes. You can look at those other videos if you're interested. But Batter Up has a pitcher first game engine, and at least in my opinion, it's very similar. It could trace its roots to the engine that was for Be a Manager, which was a game in the 60s. And then many of us are familiar with the Sports Illustrated game that was published for about 3 years in the 70s. Batter Up came out, as we said, in the mid to late 70s. Batter Up is very, very much built on the Sports Illustrated engine. And I'm guessing, I have an educated guess that it was intentional. As soon as Sports Illustrated stopped publishing, then Batter Up picked up the gauntlet and moved forward, but with some modifications, or I'll go so far as to say improvements over the SI engine, mainly in the way or the accuracy of how the pitcher cards were put together. For a brief period, there was Grandslam, which used the same model. And then in a modern era, insidepitch in many respects has this pitcher first game engine. And I do have videos out there on all these games. I describe Batter Up as a combination of SI baseball, as mentioned, and apba, and you'll see why we call it that here in a second. Okay, the basic game here is you start with the pitcher card, which you see Steve Carlton's 1977 season card on the left. You roll the dice. The results can be 1 to 30. And then from that, you read a result number, which we'll talk about in a second. If for some reason the result comes up blank on the pitcher card, like dice roll 2 or 3 or 30, then you roll again and you check the batter card, and you will get a result there. And then you look up the result on a result board, which is kind of the apba connection. And so there's a result board for every on-base situation, which are 8. This is a snapshot of the runner on first board. The whole board has 50 result numbers. The hits are usually the low numbers, starting with home runs, and then you'll have strikeouts, walks, hits, batsmen, and then the outs begin, and the outs pretty much continue all the way down to 50. So that's kind of the basic game construct. Just like Sports Illustrated, batterup uses kind of a special dice configuration. It's 3 6-sided dice. You read the red die in this case as the tens digit, and the black die you add together to get the ones digit. So the number you see on the screen is 26. The way the dice are configured, it results in an uneven set of dice probabilities. So on the first die, there are 3 number 20s, 2 10s, and a 1. So you can see as a result, the results in the 20s are most often going to occur, half the time actually, and then the 10s, and then the single digit result numbers. So out of 216 dice probabilities, roll number 10 is the least. That's 1 time out of 216. And then you have a couple on the far right there that can occur 18 times out of 216. That's 8.3% of the time. It creates for kind of an interesting game dynamic. I don't dislike it per se. It's just interesting, but as we'll see in a second, it creates some challenges. So as I mentioned, I reverse engineered the game, and a bunch of homebrew card sets have been generated, and these are examples of those. I think counting myself, there are probably 5 of us now that have taken a shot at creating homebrew cards with my spreadsheet. On the left, you see Bob Gibson. I've chosen to put a logo on the card and his picture. That every one of our homebrew sets, I think, has the logo, or most of them do. The pictures are kind of an exception. I think it's a nice touch, but it just adds to the time to put the cards together. But it's a really nice touch. And you can see here we span from 1919, the Chicago Black Sox, as they were known, recently redeemed Shoeless Joe Jackson, all the way up to modern time teams. Here we have 1968 Bob Gibson with his 1.12 ERA, and recently departed Dave Parker from 1981. Among the homebrew sets we have is a complete 1981 National League set, and more recently, someone new to the game has been producing other seasons in vintage years. So feel free to check out the Facebook page. Lots of free stuff. You can get enough stuff that you can play the game and play it for free. So if money is tight, the price is right. So the challenge in creating cards is, as I said, there are 50 result numbers and only 30 dice rolls. And so deciding which result numbers to place on the card and then squeezing those into the 30 uneven dice rolls is a challenge. And that's really what the first 2 bullets on this slide say. Now, there is an exception. Not all 50 results are used on the pitcher or batter card. Certain ones only are used on the pitcher card. Certain ones are only used on the batter card. So that helps a little bit, but it's, as I'll show you in a minute, it's really a challenge to assign these computed results to the dice rolls in an accurate manner. it's possible that this could be automated, but only with a pretty sophisticated algorithm. Something like that has been done by my friend for the Sports Illustrated game, but that has not been done to any great degree for the batter up game. So what you're left with is in the spreadsheet, once you get the result numbers calculated, which I don't expect you to read this, but at the very top of this matrix is the targeted values for each result type, and this happens to be Babe Ruth from the early 20s Yankees. And so the top row is the targeted values. You manually fill out the matrix, trying to match the dice roll chances as much as possible to the targeted results. And sometimes it comes out really well, and sometimes it doesn't. This is very time consuming. Let's just say it took you 5 minutes to fill out this matrix. That may be a little aggressive, but let's just say it took 5 minutes. And a lot of times we have like 25 players on the roster. So that's going to be 125 minutes just to do these allocation matrices, which means you're going to be spending at least 2 hours filling out these matrices for a given team. And that's only after you've taken the time to populate all the data from Baseball Reference. So a lot of work is involved. So I was having a discussion with one of my friends via email or Facebook, and it got me to thinking, which is often dangerous, is there a better way, or is there a shortcut? So what I came up with, well, before I go there, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this dice allocation matrix problem. So if you look at the bottom, this is still the Babe Ruth chart. I've taken a shot at filling out this matrix, but you'll see, like in the green circles, I'm close, but not exact on some of these allocations. So in the walks and strikeouts, I have a little bit more than I should. But part of that was I really wanted to use those two 18 dice rolls and the 15 chance dice rolls. And so that may just be the way it is. He may walk slightly more than he should and strike out slightly more than he should. But then you see in the red circles, there are cases where I haven't allocated enough. And in the case of result 25 and 27 and 36, basically all three red circles, not only did I not allocate enough, I didn't allocate anything at all. And part of the reason is I've already used up dice roll number 3, or dice rolls that have a 3 value. One dice roll has a 5 value, and a couple have a 2 value, and those have already been used up on the left side of this matrix. Now, I may be able to optimize this a little bit better. For example, on the far left side, he's got a 22 for home runs. Rather than use up all the small dice rolls, I might be able to move one of the 18s over there, or the 15 over there, and free up some of the small dice rolls that I can optimize this a little bit more. But this is why it takes more than 5 minutes to do each one of these. Now, one of the things that I do is, individually, I may not get these results exactly right, but I do look, for example, at the bottom middle here, you see 27, 28, and 29. Those are all short flyouts. One's fly out to left, one's fly out to center, one's fly out to right. And in this case, if you add the 3 together, it looks like I probably have pretty much the right allocation. I have 19 allocated there. And if I do my math correctly, I'm looking for 19 chances. So I'll look at these result families, and that's what I've highlighted as an example at the top in blue. And if the result family is right, then I'm happier. Um, so the short fly out might be all right. The only issue is he can only fly out to 2 of the 3 outfield positions. Um, so that's kind of an issue. And then you come over to result 33 and 34, and I'm over allocated. So I do some things at a macro level to try to balance all this out, but that just gives you an idea of the work that is involved. And then just as an aside, I use Microsoft 365 and Excel, and for some reason they've embedded now their AI tool Copilot into their software, and it really creates an annoying icon that's in the way most of the time. Anyway, so that's the challenge. I think you kind of can appreciate the challenge. So as I said, I came up with an idea, and that idea was to create these cards using 3 D10 dice instead of the 3 D6 dice with the special configuration. And so over the last half a week, especially 2 hard crunching days, I created on top of the old spreadsheet, I created additional logic that would convert the results to a 3D10 basis. And you read those dice as a 3-digit number, pretty typical. And what it has allowed me to do is better distribute the results. So if you remember, if you look in the middle of Warren Swan's card, I was limited in terms of how many or which of the short flyouts and the long flyouts or the ground outs, which ones would get the results. Well, here I can spread it out so every one of those results is populated with some amount of dice roll, and that's true for many of the results. And in some cases, like you see at the top middle of Swan's card, number 18, he probably didn't get a hit batsman chance. I kind of forced one in there. You'll see maybe on the batter, there's some of that can occur. I guess Gibson isn't the best example for that, but I'll explain in a minute. I've color coded some of the results actually as a throwback to Sports Illustrated. So the green result numbers are hits. The yellows are things like hits, batsmen, walks, and wild pitches and pass balls. And then anything that's blank is probably an out or likely an out. The way it's programmed, you read the dice starting from 001, and then 000 is read as 1000. So if you look at the right in Kirk Gibson's card, again, we've got a pretty wide distribution of results, especially in the out section and even in the hit section. So if you see 10 through 17 are all singles. In many cases, only some of those or a few of those result numbers may have been populated in the old cards. Here, there's some allocation to each one. And home runs aren't really that different. He had doubles, which I think are 5, 6, 7. He had triples, which were 8 and 9. So that's how it works. The other thing that's not obvious but is heavily built into these cards for the batter, but also a little bit for the pitcher, is that there's a certain way the distribution of the results are biased based on the handedness of the batter or pitcher, as it may be. So if it's a left-hand batter, his results might be more weighted to hitting the ball to the right side. And conversely, if he's a left-hand batter, I'm sorry, I don't know if I said that right, but a left-handed batter is going to hit balls more to the right side, and the right-hand batter is going to hit balls more to the left side. And So that's all embedded in here. It was embedded in the last version, but it's embedded even better now. It's all based on an analysis of a database that was sent to me by a guy, Mike, and that was an analysis of the cards, original cards from the 1977 season. And what that allowed me is to kind of replicate the aggregate breakdown of the various results um, by left-hand batters, right-hand batters, and switch hitters. That influences kind of the out distribution. It also influences some of the hit distribution as well. So that's what I've done so far. We've made two teams, and you see them here. And I've played one test game. I'll be honest; it took a little getting used to reading the three-digit number off the cards. I actually, in the first game, used an Excel-based dice roller that we have, and it also allows looking up the result instead of looking at the physical boards. It allows looking up the results on the spreadsheet as well. Um, I have some more D10 dice coming from Amazon today, and I'm going to try with the physical dice, see if that makes any difference. But so far, so good. I've checked the math. The math works the same. Old cards or new cards. But the key is once the data is input off of baseball reference, which is no small task, this is all computed automatically without any manual intervention. And it's a beautiful thing. So if the desire is to be able to create more teams more quickly, then I think this will be popular. If for nostalgic or other reasons people like the old way better, we may still make some cards in that format, but it just may not be as prolific as what we've done now. So just to wrap up, um, as I just said, significantly less time to create card sets. That was the main driver for this. There's increased precision. I think I've alluded to that, but yeah, well, I'll come to that at the end. Um, we've talked about how the play result numbers can be distributed across the all 50 if we want to. We've talked about that. Um, the other thing, it's kind of behind the scenes, but the result boards have infield in effects. They have great defensive play effects. They have generic split rules and error checks, and those will be much better balanced because in the old cards, it was inconsistent from card to card whether there could be an infield in effect or an error check or what have you. Now it's kind of distributed, uh, accordingly across the wider range of result numbers and therefore fielding positions. We talked about the handedness, so that's better reflected. Um, and then the last one I've alluded to, but you know, let's say a guy did not hit a triple in a season. I'm still going to put one chance out of 1,000 that he gets a triple on his card. Same thing with a home run. I just generally like the fact that some remote event could happen. Not everybody likes that. They don't like it if a guy didn't hit a home run or a triple in a season, then he shouldn't be able to do it in the sim. And I would just suggest in those cases that you somehow homebrew that and convert it to some other result like a double or something. Um, yeah, so that's kind of it. We're in test mode. One of my card making friends already has the spreadsheet and is going to give it a test run. Hopefully the bugs have been worked out. And if you have further interest, either email me or check out our Facebook page. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch up with you after the holiday. Take care.